Every single morning, millions of people over 60 wake up, swing their legs off the bed, and the moment their feet hit the floor, they feel it. That sharp, grinding, stiff pain in their knees, hips, or fingers. And most of them just accept it. They think this is just what getting old feels like. Nobody told them any differently. Their doctor said arthritis, wrote a prescription, and moved on. But here is the truth that most people never get to hear, that pain is not simply aging. There is a very specific biological reason your joints hurt more now than they did 10 years ago. And once you understand what is actually happening to your joints, you have real options. Not just painkillers, not just rest. Actual solutions that address the root cause. So stay with me through this entire video because by the end you will understand your joints better than most people ever do. And you will know exactly what to start doing today. What is actually happening inside your joints. Let me take you inside a joint for a moment because this is where it all starts. Between every pair of bones in your body, your knees, your hips, your fingers, your spine, there is a layer of cartilage. Cartilage is a smooth, rubbery tissue that acts like a shock absorber and a gliding surface. When you walk, bend, reach, or turn, your cartilage allows those bones to move against each other without grinding or catching. When you are young, your body is constantly repairing and rebuilding this cartilage. Small damages are fixed quickly. The system works beautifully. But after the age of 50, something shifts. The cells responsible for maintaining cartilage, called chondrocytes, become less active. They receive fewer signals to repair. The cartilage starts to thin, soften, and in some areas wear away entirely. This is what doctors call osteoarthritis. But here is the key thing to understand. The thinning of cartilage alone does not fully explain the pain. Because we can take x-rays of two people with identical cartilage loss, and one of them is in agony while the other barely notices anything. The difference is inflammation. When cartilage breaks down, tiny fragments float into the joint space. Your immune system treats these fragments like foreign invaders and launches an inflammatory response. That inflammation causes swelling, heat, and pain. And it also further damages the cartilage, creating a vicious cycle. On top of this, the fluid inside your joints, called synovial fluid, starts to thin with age. This fluid is what keeps everything lubricated and nourished. Think of it like engine oil. When the oil is fresh and thick, everything runs smoothly. When it gets old and thin, metal starts grinding against metal. That is what your joints experience when synovial fluid quality declines. So you have three things happening at once: cartilage thinning, chronic inflammation, and declining synovial fluid quality. All three are addressable, none of them are purely inevitable. The biggest mistakes people make that make it so much worse. I want to talk about the three biggest mistakes I see people make when their joints start hurting because these mistakes actively accelerate the damage and make everything much worse. In the long run, the first mistake is stopping movement. When your knees hurt, the instinct is to rest them. Sit more, avoid stairs, skip the walk, and in the short term, that does reduce pain. But in the medium and long term, it is one of the worst things you can do for your joints. Here is why. Your cartilage does not have its own blood supply. It gets all its nutrients, the building blocks it needs to repair itself, from the synovial fluid around it. And that fluid only circulates when you move. When you stop moving, the cartilage essentially starves. It gets less of the nutrients it needs to maintain itself. So the very tissue you're trying to protect degrades faster when you rest too much. The second mistake is relying entirely on anti-inflammatory painkillers like ibuprofen for long-term management. These drugs work well for short-term pain relief, but taken regularly over months and years, they cause serious problems. They damage the stomach lining and can cause ulcers. They reduce kidney function, which is already declining with age. They raise blood pressure. And here is the part almost nobody knows. Some studies suggest that long-term NSAID use may actually interfere with cartilage repair, making the underlying condition worse over time even while masking the pain. The third mistake is ignoring diet. What you eat every single day either increases inflammation in your body or decreases it. If your diet is high in refined carbohydrates, sugar, processed seed oils, and processed meat, you are constantly fueling the inflammatory fire inside your joints. Every meal is either medicine or poison for your joint health. This is not an exaggeration, it is basic biochemistry. The role of gut health in joint pain, the connection almost nobody talks about, is something that most people with joint pain have never been told. And I think it is one of the most important pieces of information in this entire video. Your gut health has a direct and powerful influence on your joint inflammation. There is a condition called leaky gut, or intestinal permeability, where the lining of your intestine becomes damaged and allows partially digested food particles and bacterial fragments to pass into your bloodstream. Your immune system then reacts to these particles as threats, creating a whole-body inflammatory response. And that inflammation lands everywhere, including your joints. Research has consistently shown that people with higher gut permeability have worse inflammatory joint conditions. The good news is that healing your gut reduces systemic inflammation, and people often notice significant improvements in their joint pain when they address their gut health. The foods that damage your gut lining include alcohol, NSAIDs, processed food, refined sugar, and gluten in people sensitive to it. The foods that heal the gut lining include bone broth, rich in collagen and glutamine, which directly repair the intestinal wall, fermented foods like live yogurt, kefir and sauerkraut, and foods rich in polyphenols like berries and olive oil, natural remedies with the strongest scientific evidence in O. Let us get into the specific natural interventions that have genuine clinical research behind them, not just traditional use, but actual human trials. Turmeric and curcumin first, because the evidence here is simply impossible to ignore. A 2016 clinical trial published in the Journal of Medicinal Food directly compared curcumin, the active compound in turmeric, against ibuprofen in people with knee osteoarthritis. The result was that curcumin worked just as effectively as ibuprofen for reducing pain and improving function, and caused significantly fewer gastrointestinal side effects. That is a head-to-head comparison against a pharmaceutical, and the natural compound held its own. To get the benefit, you need to take it consistently every day. And critically, you must take it with black pepper or a fat like coconut oil, because without these, your body absorbs very little of the curcumin. Black pepper increases curcumin absorption by up to 12,000%. Next, Boswellia serrata, also called Indian frankincense. This is one that most people have never heard of, but it has remarkable evidence. Boswellia works by specifically blocking the enzyme called 5-LOX that breaks down cartilage. Multiple clinical trials show significant reductions in joint pain and improvements in walking distance and joint function within 4 to 8 weeks. It is particularly effective for deep, aching knee pain that worsens when going downstairs. Omega-3 fatty acids, specifically EPA from oily fish or fish oil, directly reduce the inflammatory signaling molecules called prostaglandins and leukotrienes that cause joint pain and swelling. Studies show that people who supplement omega-3 reduce their need for painkillers significantly. Collagen peptides, hydrolyzed collagen, provide the amino acids glycine and proline that are the building blocks of both cartilage and synovial fluid. A 24-week study found meaningful improvements in joint pain in athletes supplementing collagen. And for older adults whose collagen production is declining, this is a particularly logical intervention. Ginger, fresh ginger root or ginger extract, contains compounds called gingerols and chagols that inhibit the same COX and LOX enzyme pathways as anti-inflammatory drugs, but more gently and without the gastrointestinal side effects. 3 cups of fresh ginger tea daily is a genuinely therapeutic dose, the movement plan that helps instead of hurts exercise. For joint pain sounds counterintuitive, but the evidence is overwhelming. The right kind of movement significantly reduces joint pain over time. The key word is the right kind. What helps? Swimming GAND water-based exercise because the water supports your weight while allowing a full range of motion, warming the joints and circulating synovial fluid without impact stress. Cycling out stationary or outdoor provides continuous low-impact movement that strengthens the muscles supporting the knee without the jarring of walking on hard surfaces. Resistance exercises that strengthen the muscles around damaged joints, particularly the quadriceps for knee health and the glutes for hip health, reduce the load placed on the joint itself with every step. Tai Chi has multiple clinical trials demonstrating meaningful pain reduction in knee osteoarthritis. It combines slow, controlled movement with balance and body awareness, all of which benefit joint health. What to avoid in the early stages: running on hard surfaces, high-impact aerobics, squats below 90 degrees when knee. Cartilage is significantly thinned, and any movement that produces sharp pain during the activity itself, not just muscle soreness afterwards. A practical daily routine for joint health. Let me give you something concrete to take away from this video. A simple daily routine you can start tomorrow. In the morning, before you get out of bed, spend 3 minutes doing gentle joint mobilization, ankle circles, knee bends, hip rotations, shoulder rolls, and wrist circles. This warms the synovial fluid before you put weight through your joints. With breakfast, take your omega-3 supplement and your curcumin with black pepper, always with food and fat. During the day, never sit still for more than 45 minutes. Stand up, walk to the kitchen and back, do 10 calf raises. Synovial fluid needs regular movement to circulate. In the evening, a warm bath or shower relaxes the muscles around your joints and reduces the overnight tightening that causes morning stiffness. Before bed, a glass of bone broth provides collagen precursors for overnight joint repair. And once a day, every day, a 20 to 30-minute gentle walk. Not a power walk. Not exercise for fitness, just movement that tells your joints they are needed, that keeps cartilage nourished, and that maintains the muscle strength that protects your joints from further damage. Now, joints and blood pressure are more connected than most people realize. The same inflammatory processes drive both conditions. So the next video you should watch is about natural ways to lower blood pressure after 50. It is already on this channel. Click it now and I will see you there.